Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a very, very exciting preview. It's the Champions League final. The anticipation for this game has been building up for so long. City, Chelsea, two English teams, and it's only right we bring back the opposition fan views. So here we have Mike from the Chronicle Podcast, big Chelsea fan, Dubliner as well. So it's kind of an all-Irish cast today. We're going to talk about this game, iron out our thoughts, maybe have a bit of banter and see what we think. So Mike, before we get into the ins and outs of the game, are you nervous?
Listen, right, it's a thing that everyone's coming to me telling me that, oh, Chelsea have no chance. We've beaten Man City twice this season already. I'm not nervous. I'm not at all. Okay.
Right. Well, the thing is, you said you beat us twice. Yeah, you beat us twice. Fair enough. FA Cup semi-final and in the league just there. But as Dara said, and he can hop in now in a sec on our reviews for those games. You didn't see our full team. I know Dara had a different term, but it was our kind of B team. If you does it scare you that we're going to the full hand of cards now on Saturday?
Listen, the way I see it, right, bring the full ham. You guys have no real number 9, right? I'm ready for it. Rudiger is going to have a field day. You don't even understand, boys, all right?
Right, Rebel, what you make of that?
Right, so I think the fact you play three centre backs, one of which is a right back because it's terrorism, but you play it a very weird way, which kind of folds its way around having a number 9. I think if we have our false number 9, we start De Bruyne, he'll drop, and if Rudiger follows him, that leaves a huge hole which can be exploited. I'm really looking forward to that duel because I think Rudiger he's been on good form lately. I've seen some of his stats, and you can't take that away from him. But they haven't seen our full team. I'm not using the other term for.
Okay, I feel you, boys. No, it's a thing that, right, if De Bruyne dares to drop into midfield, N'Golo is waiting for him. Like, you guys, you're playing it off as if N'Golo won't do nothing. N'Golo's gonna lock De Bruyne out this game, okay?
Right. So on the N'Golo Kante thing, he got a bit of a knock the other week, didn't he? And same with Edouard Mendy. Any injury updates?
So they've both been back to training. So obviously, I'm hoping that they'll be in the squad. Like John's not even in the squad starting. Hold on, not in the squad starting for sure. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I think we'll have a fully fit team for the most part anyway.
I kind of want both teams to have a fully fit team. You know what I mean? Like it's nice. Obviously, when you hear maybe, sorry, I wouldn't wish injury on anyone. Don't get me twisted like that. But you know what I mean? If maybe Mason Mount had a bit of a niggle, he couldn't play. I wouldn't be totally opposed to it. You know what I mean? Dara, what do you think?
I'd be in the camp where I'd want to play the full team. I want to look back at it and say we were the best team in Europe that year. And if we play a fully fit Chelsea squad, then like it's a Champions League final. Anything can happen, but I don't see why we won't be confident going into it. But that's the same with Chelsea because they'll have the psychological advantage in their head now that they've beaten us twice. So it's such a toss-up. It's really such a toss-up. But I'd rather it be over now, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Mike, on the sort of roads to the final we've both had, in my opinion, we've had a much tougher road to the final. You know, we played Borussia Mönchengladbach, fair enough, not the toughest. Then Dortmund, then PSG. Who did you have? What was it? Real Madrid, they're a pensioners team at the moment. They were absolutely abysmal. You had Porto as well. This is definitely going to be Chelsea's toughest game in Europe this season, or probably of the whole season, including domestic football. Does it not worry a bit that we've kind of had the warm-up of playing that big tie against PSG, and you're coming in onto the big stage, haven't played against special, really? I mean, I watched the Real Madrid games. I thought they were abysmal, Real Madrid.
Yeah, okay, Real Madrid were terrible, right? Obviously, we got Porto as well, right? But I do think it was about time. We got Bayern for what feels like 5 years in a row there, right? So I felt like we deserved a little bit of luck, right? We also had Atletico Madrid, who are La Liga champions. Let's not forget. So, listen, we've taken down one set of champions this season. I think it's time to take down another one. Like, that's all I think.
Oh, fight and talk. Okay. So you think you're going to take down City? You think you're going to take down? I think the thing is, we looked really good against Everton on the weekend. I thought it was one of our best performances in a long time, and it looked like a group of players who were really hungry for the first time in quite a while because we kind of had the league wrapped up for a while, and we've got a lot of clinical players. And just on your clinical players, I saw the stats for Timo Werner. He scored something like 14 goals, but he's put the ball in the net something like 27 times.
Yeah.
Where do you see your goals coming from? Because our defense it's actually ridiculous right now as well. So
okay, So the thing about Chelsea, right? It's that, and it's something that annoys me, right? But it's also it can be a little bit of positive. You never know where our goals are gonna come from, right? There's no way to specially prepare for each individual player that you're like, oh, he's a goal threat, he's a goal threat. No, like it's gonna be random on the night, right? Like if anyone does betting and you want to do a first goal scorer for Chelsea, like I just say no because like honestly, like I have no idea where our goals will come from, but where our chances will come from is Mason Mount. Mason Mount is the key to our whole system, I believe. Like,
I think I 100% agree. I think Mason Mount is an absolutely phenomenal player, but I think Phil Foden's better. So let's have that conversation a little bit.
okay,
Who do we, Dara, I'll come to you first because I kind of know Mike's answer, but you can back it up in a sec. Dara, just fill me full of the Phil Foden goodness. Tell me where he comes from.
I will fill you. So basically, Phil Foden is what I like to call generational. You know, he was in the midfield to start with, but Pep obviously saw something and goes, oh, he can play in the wing, he can go out wide, he can drift in, and it's not even that he's a winger. He's what me and Joe call a wide midfielder, where he just comes narrow a lot of the time, and Zinchenko covers on the left hand side. But it just shows how versatile he is, and like some of the best moments of the season have come from him. You know, the Brighton goal the other week, we lost, it doesn't matter. Liverpool away, he scored that cracker. And he was just he has been the key, like Mike said about Mount. Foden's been the key to unlocking a lot of defenses this year, and he was actually really good at Stamford Bridge when we played the Lampard Chelsea. So if there's anyone that's gonna perform, it'll be him. I think if there's anyone who's gonna turn up, who's gonna be hungry, it's gonna be him. And that's I can't say much more about him. He's unbelievable.
They're both phenomenal talents. And listen, if you're an Englishman, you're absolutely buzzing to watch them play for the country because they're absolutely littered with talent. So, like we've watched Phil Foden every single week, myself and Dara, obviously, to do the watch alongs for the City games. So, what do you think, Mike, makes Mason Mount so special? Because I do agree he's going to be integral to any success you may get this Saturday or next season, whatever.
Okay. So the reason why, right, I just have Mason Mount. Who am I even saying? The reason why I have Mason Mount pegged as so special, right, is because Phil Foden is an amazing talent. Like I think he's easily top 2 in the league, and arguably, right, because he's younger than Mason Mount, I could understand why he'd be more of an attraction to have, right, in your team, right? But it's just a thing that Chelsea. All of Chelsea's attack, anything that comes good from Chelsea comes from Mason Mount. Whereas I feel like Phil Foden is in a much better team anyway. Do you understand? So like he has that supporting role, kind of. He has a really good supporting cast around him. Whereas like I don't really feel like Mason Mount has that. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
So like he has to make a lot of it. Like literally, if you watch Mason Mount play, he's dropping into midfield. He's making his own runs as well. He literally does everything that you could want the midfielders to do. He can play on the wing. He can play at the 10. He can play at the 8. And I doubt he can play at the 6. But if we needed him to, he could probably play at the 6 as well, right? But no, I also use the term a generational type talent, and I think he's going to be like our captain for years to come, if I'm being honest. Like,
yeah, I think we feel pretty similar about Phil Foden, that at some stage in his career, he's so young still, you got to remember he'll have the captain.
yeah.
Another player that I'm very curious about, and I want to touch on from Chelsea, is Christian Pulisic. Every time I watch him, I find him really, really good, and it baffles me why Tuchel and even Lampard doesn't start him every single game, or didn't start him every single game. Like, what do you make of Pulisic, and what's the story there?
Okay, right. So I don't know why I've never gravitated to Pulisic like that, right? Like I like Pulisic, and like even at the end of last season when he was banging in goals all the time, right? He just never like the goals he was getting. They never really seemed like completely like stunning. Like he made them. Sometimes it'd be a little scruffy. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand that he's an amazing player, right? And he has so much potential, right? But there's times where he can just drop an absolute stinker, and you won't even know he was on the pitch. Like against Aston Villa, he had a stinker. Do you understand me? And so like I feel like that's why Tuchel kind of, will go in between using him, Doy, or Werner. Just, I don't know. For obviously Werner, right? Like Werner's gotten a lot of stick, but you know what you're gonna get from him. You're gonna get a lot of energy, a lot of running. He's gonna make runs behind the ball, and I think Werner has had a pretty decent season. Not decent. He's had a bad season, but if this is his bad season, then I'll be happy with his really good ones. Do you understand me? But yeah, I just think we have a crazy amount of talent out on the wide. So like I could see why Thomas Tuchel has a hard time choosing.
I think there is a lot to come from Chelsea, especially next season. I think when Tuchel gets a summer and he can, spend the money Abramovich will inevitably give him, there'll be a
Oh
force.
yes.
I firmly believe Chelsea will be within the title race this season. That's just me being a football fan and analysing what I see. But in recent results, lads, recent form, I said in our preview for the City Everton game that to win a final, you want to go in with the best form possible, have every 1% of advantage you can. We beat Everton 5-0 on the weekend. You lost to Aston Villa. You lost to FA Cup final to Leicester. Do recent results worry you at all? Do you think there's possibly cracks in Tuchel's system going into this final that maybe Pep has seen and could possibly expose?
Okay, right. So there is a major issue, right? Not even an issue, but it's because it's been around since before Sarri was there, since Hazard left, right? We cannot break down teams that sit back. So if a team gets an early goal on us and then they choose to sit back, we struggle. We struggled against Arsenal, against Villa, against Leicester as well. Like even with Leicester, we struggled so hard. We beat them after the FA Cup, but even still, we still struggled in that game to break them down. We have been chronically bad at that. But it's a thing that against City, we definitely will not be on the front foot at all. So I can see. I think on the counter is where we really shine. Do you understand me? Right, because we do have a lot of pace, in the likes of Mason Mount. N'Golo Kante is actually really good at bringing up the ball on a counter attack as well. So I'm not really too worried about recent form because the teams we've been going against are nothing like City, which could be a bad thing, which could be a good thing. But yeah, that's why I'm not too worried.
And that's what slightly does worry me is that if we have any kind of like little bad spells, it usually comes from another team who's good at counter-attacking. Like when you saw when we lost to Man United there, when our big run ended, it was through counter-attack. When we lose it to any team, it's because they're good at counter-attacking or they get a bit of luck. I mean, even the game where you did beat us in the Etihad a few weeks ago, we had most of the ball, we had most of the chances.
Yeah.
You just took yours. But that kind of leads me nicely onto the next topic, which is how is this game going to pan out? I'll come to Dara first because I want a City perspective. If City are to win this, we're doing our own preview as well, but we'll get Mike's as well. Where's it coming from? How are we doing it?
You see, the midfield is obviously always going to be the most important part, but City are going to have to be brilliant at the back, brilliant at dealing with the counter attacks in order to nullify Chelsea. Because, like Mike said, that's where they shine, and they are that threatening, that good. You saw it in the FA Cup, that good on the counter attack. We're going to have to be glued together, and we've seen we can do that. We saw it in Paris. We were brilliant at the back. It was one of the best defensive performances I've seen in years from City that night, and we're just. If we can play like that, Chelsea, I can't see Chelsea breaking us down. If we play the same way we played against Paris, I can't see them breaking it down because we were so together. We were so just glued. It was amazing. So they're gonna have a tough time if that's the case.
Same to you, Mike. If you're to beat us, how's it happening?
Okay, this is why I not nervous, right? But this is why the thing about C is that we need you guys to make a mistake. That's what I feel like we'll capitalize the most on, right? Like as Dara said, if yous aren't necessarily all switched on, if yous aren't like glue at the back, any mistake I do feel like we'll pounce on it. Now, if it's a game where you make multiple mistakes, that'll definitely help because obviously we are not the most clinical team at all, right? But in the Champions League final, I do expect the boys to put on their shooting boots, and I feel like any mistakes that you make, we'll be ready to pounce on them.
I think I agree. I always say for all our games, if we don't win it, it's our own fault. It's our own mistakes. It's our own slips because we have so much quality. But I think, like I always say as well, the midfield battle. If you win the midfield battle, you've got a much better chance of winning the game. And our midfield, particularly against Everton, from what I saw, was absolutely phenomenal. I know it was De Bruyne and Foden in the midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if they spend a lot of time there against Chelsea as well. What do you reckon the midfield for Chelsea is going to be like?
Okay, so unfortunately, right?
Want to run through actually your full starting 11 and we'll just air it out.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so full starting 11, I think hopefully Mendy's back in goal, right? So then we have Rudiger, Thiago Silva, and Aspi, right? Aspi playing right centre back, and then the boys playing where they play. Left back, Ben Chilwell, right? Because if Mahrez or whoever is standing, you can't play Alonso against a pacey winger at all. Like he will get burnt. But then on that right wing, to nullify Raheem Sterling, you have to have Reece James, and Reece James is a baller. I'll touch upon him a little bit later, right? But then in the middle, what I would like to see is N'Golo Kante and Kovacic, right? I'd love to see those two playing
He's
the
not
two
playing much
positions.
recently, Kovacic, is he?
Well, he's come back off injury. He's been injured for like the last couple of games, so like he's been playing a little bit in, and Jorginho's been making just horrible mistakes as of recent, right? We saw against Arsenal with Kepa, then he gave away a penalty at the weekend there. But I think a lot of Chelsea fans are a bit tired of Jorginho. Obviously, there's times where Jorginho has an amazing game, but there's also times where he has a stinker. And so I wouldn't want to risk him having a stinker in a Champions League final. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But yeah, so after Kante and Kovacic, then on the wing, left wing, obviously Mason Mount, right? You have to have him. I'd like to see. Actually, I'd put Mason Mount on the right wing, and then I'd like to see Kai Havertz starting up at number 9, right? And then left wing, it'd be a toss up between Timo and Pulisic. I think he's gonna go with Werner.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we can guarantee an offside goal then. That guy seems to live offside. You said Reece James is a player you admire a lot, and before you talked about it, you said if he needs to nullify Sterling will not play left wing. Absolutely no chance. It'll be Phil Foden.
Oh no.
Dara, it's going to be a class battle, I think, between Foden and Reece James. They're both going to be in the England camp together in a few weeks' time. They're both really exciting young prospects. Well, how do you see that battle going yourself?
Honestly, I think considering how narrow our wingers play, they invert a lot. It could end up being Zinchenko against Reece James, which could be very interesting as well. But if we are going off the fact that Phil Foden will play a bit wider, then it'll be a great challenge because they're both so pacey. Phil Foden's so skillful, but James is just so like James is like lateral quickness. How quick he is getting back, it's actually second to none. Really, he is that talented at getting back. It's like Aaron Wan-Bissaka and his recovery.
He's a player I admire a lot, Reece James. I do think he has a lot of quality. What sort of impact do you reckon he's going to have on the game, Mike?
Okay, impact. Going forward. That's why I really like Reece James, right? Because I feel like when you look at the other right backs in the league, except for your Kyle Walker or Cancelo, right? It's like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he going forward, he's not the best. Trent going backwards, he's not the best. But going forward and backwards, Reece James has both of it unlocked, right? And so I think if he's going up against Phil Foden right now, they're both fairly pacey, but I do think Reece James has a lot of that strength. He is ridiculously strong from what I've seen, right? So I do definitely think that that'll help. But once again, right, if Phil Foden is playing in a narrower position, then I can see Reece James playing at that right centre back where he played when we were against Leicester, because Vardy was completely nullified in those games if you saw them anyway, because like Reece James just had him on lock, and I think that's the only reason why he was playing at that position, to lock down Vardy. So I think that if Phil Foden is giving us a tough time in the first half, then he'll probably swap around as Piliqueta and Reece James.
I think it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal battle, regardless between our attack and your defense, because Tuchel really prides himself on his defensive tactics. He is very defensively organized. But a topic I do want to touch on, it's something that crossed my mind today. I actually didn't think of it beforehand, was experience at this stage of the competition. You know what I mean? Chelsea have done this at least twice that I'm aware of. They lost in Moscow and they won in Munich. This is our first time. Dara, do you think experience is going to come into play at all? I know most of the players for Chelsea were all of them weren't involved in any of those games, but as a club they've been there. You know, they've won this trophy. I do think it plays a little part.
It does play a little part, but I think it'll be maybe a bit overplayed considering that there's no, like, Terry was there, Lampard was there. Obviously they're not playing anymore, but they're as a club, yeah, they will have a bit of an advantage. But we've got players who have played in the final. We have Gundogan played in the final. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that's it. But we have Gundogan who played in the final. I'm not sure. Maybe no. Thiago Silva played in the final last season as well. So both teams have players with experience at that level of the game. So I think what you said there about the club, that could be a little bit overplayed, but they will have some form of an advantage going into that.
Tuchel is going to have the bit between his teeth for this final. Having lost last year, he's going to be absolutely desperate to do it, and it would be a phenomenal achievement, wouldn't it, if to come in after the season and win a Champions League? Do you take confidence from the fact that he's been there and the club's been there, Mike?
I do think, right, that Tuchel is not gonna want to lose this game, right? Because so obviously after losing at Leicester, yeah, not at Leicester, but to Leicester in the FA Cup final, and then losing last year as well. Then the way we finished up the season, like this season went from being a possible like A plus of a season, right, and we're now like middling between B minus and C plus season of a season, right? But going into this Champions League, if we can get the win here, I think it'll be crazy. But when we're talking about experience, I think it's going to come more from the managers, right? Because, like I said, I don't think Thomas Tuchel is going to want to lose at all. I can pride myself on that. But then, I think Pep Guardiola, I love Pep Guardiola. He's honest. I generally think he's the best manager in football at the moment, right? But he's not going to want to go in and lose a final. Not a Champions League. The one thing that he's been waiting for while he's been at City, I don't think he's going to want in and go and lose that too. Both have been in Champions League final. Obviously, Pep has won a few, multiple, yeah, and Thomas Tuchel has lost his. But I think the experience is going to come from the managers because Thomas is going to tell the boys that listen, I've been on the losing end of a final, and he's not. And we're not going to want that.
And Thiago Silva, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Just on the Pep thing, his record is actually, I completely forget this sometimes in finals. It's won something like 14 out of 15 finals. Yep. That's clinical. That's absolutely clinical. Darry, you must take good confidence from that because I do. I definitely do.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, we've got our players have shown throughout the season during PSG, during even the dead rubber games. We have mentality. We have really good mentality, and we're gonna want this. I know Chelsea want it. We will want this, whether it be more or less. We still want this. And I don't doubt any of their mentalities going into it, whether it be Pep, Diaz, anyone in the front line. I don't doubt them. I'm like Pep said when he was asked about Lahoz, I'm so confident in my team. I'm confident in my team. I'm not confident about results, but the team I'm confident in.
I absolutely loved those little kind of snippets we saw from inside our dressing room after we left the trophy or after we won the Premier League the other day of Diaz being like, one more to go. I think we're in prime mindset. I think we're really ready to go. Do you think Chelsea are in a similar state having lost to Villa on the weekend?
I think Chelsea would be are so much more hungry than if we'd won the FA Cup or won the or destroyed Villa at the weekend, right? Because I think come from this team, we're a team that's been through a lot of adversity this season, but we've continued to pick ourselves back up, and I think that we're just we're gonna do that again this weekend, and that's why I like to believe, right, that even if we lose, we are gonna put up a hell of a fight. Do you get me? Yeah.
No,
so
I fully agree, mate.
Yeah.
I think if there was a team, I would have preferred to have played Real Madrid. I think we would have broken them down easier. Like I said a few minutes ago, I think Tuchel's defensive ability is absolutely second to none, and that's something they're going to build off next season. But before we wrap up, as tradition, the score predictions, and I think this is obviously our final score prediction of the season. So it's mad that we got here, but it's also the most important ones. It's quite scary now to predict this game. I don't like tempting fate. So Mike, as the guest, you can predictions. Give us your predictions, and you know what? As it's the final, give us who's going to score as well.
Okay. This is what I want to speak this into existence, right? I'm praying this happens, right?
Yeah.
1-0, Timo Werner. Timo Werner. That's what I want. Assist from Mason Mount. Timo Werner for the win. That would guys, I think that would actually bring tears from my eyes if that happened. You guys don't even understand.
Do you know what? It would only be typical City to concede a winning Champions League final goal to a guy that lives offside, and half of his goals this season have been ruled out offside. So fingers crossed, Mike has not just put that out into fruition, and it's going to become a Dara.
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to say 2-0 City. I think either Diaz or Stones will get one, and I think Mahrez gets the other. See.
I take that. I just take a win. I'm gonna go with. It's gonna be a nail biting one. I think this is gonna be a really tight game, regardless. I think it'll start off pretty cagey. Both teams want to get a feel for each other because we spoke about the fact that Chelsea haven't essentially played against City's full team, so they want to get a feel for them. It won't be all out, but I'm gonna go with a 2-1 after extra time to Manchester City, and I'm gonna say a Phil Foden followed by a Sergio Aguero winner.
So, Sergio. Oh, okay.
I've just thrown that out there, and I've probably just completely messed fate there, and it's going to completely bite me in the arse. But listen, it's fun and games predicting these. It's really exciting. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal occasion. It's just a shame we couldn't get a full house in the stadium, but I do hope City fans that travel over get to enjoy it, and of course the Chelsea fans too, because it is, as football fans, we love these occasions. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Mike, do you want to shout out the podcast?
I will indeed, right? So, guys, I want to say first of all, huge thank yous for coming on. But if you guys would like, go check out the Chronicle Podcast. We talk about obviously football, we talk about NBA as well, and all things the UFC. So definitely give it a shout, guys. And also, I'd like to say, I do on the podcast, right? I'm kind of mystic. My predictions do tend to come to fruition. So I'm praying that happens again today. Okay. I'm Mystic Mike, guys. I'm praying for it.
All right, lads, you heard it there first. Mystic Mike is predicting a Chelsea win, and if it happens, I'm sure we won't laugh about it, but it'll be a bit weird if that does happen. So yes, go over, check out the Chronicle Podcast if you're a sports fan. There's some great content over there, and do leave a like on this video. Subscribe to us too. We're still getting close to that 250 mark, so any support is appreciated. We'll have plenty of content throughout the summer. I think there's going to be some Euros live streams, constant transfer updates, and just general City and probably football content as well. So there's loads to come just because the season's ending. Doesn't mean the content is. And we'll be getting geared up for next season as well. We go again. But listen, biggest game of both these club seasons this Saturday. No watch along from ourselves. We said we wouldn't. We wanted to enjoy the club's first final. I'm going to Manchester. I'm hopefully be with a few thousand Blues enjoying it. Dara will have his fun as well, and Joe, of course, as well. And I don't know where Mike is, but I hope he has an awful time wherever he is. To all the City fans out there who have been watching us throughout the season, we really, really appreciate the support. All Irish fans, UK fans, wherever you are in the world, the support from the start of this channel has been absolutely amazing. We cannot thank you enough, and we look forward to seeing where this is going. So come on, City. Come on, City. Let's win the Champions League. Let's do this. Let's do the treble, and we will see you after the Champions League final with hopefully celebrations. Good night, and God bless.